welcome back to yet another educational interview. And today we have with us a friend of mine, Mark. And Mark, why don't you explain who you are a little bit and a little bit about your story if you want to share something with us.
I'm Mark. I'm married to Andrew, and we live on Long Island. I'm a special ed teacher. I teach in elementary school, so I work with kids with special needs and disabilities. And we recently adopted Morally, a child who's 17.
Okay, so I guess we'll start off with support. So we'll do general support. So I know obviously everyone knows Mark is part of our support group at Long Island Adoptive Families. What do you feel is important about being part of the support group?
The support group, first off, really changed our pathway to understand different options that were out there for adoption and foster care. It kind of opened our eyes to foster care of older children. And then every month we get to meet with people that are going through similar and different paths and journeys and talk with people and really understand where our connections are between what we're doing and what we're feeling, what our child is experiencing, and really understanding what resources are out there in the community and just having someone that gets it to understand when we're speaking about what we're going through.
Do you feel that there are any types of materials like books or classes or, for instance, conferences or things like that, or workshops that you feel that have been helpful to you to become a better parent to your child?
Absolutely. I think, mainly we read Etched in Sand, which was written by someone on Long Island who had been through the system, and that book really changed our perspective and helped us to understand what we were getting into. When we heard that from someone in the support group. We also have learned about Empowered to Connect. We've learned about books about trauma. We've just connected with agencies like Agape and You Gotta Believe that have really helped support us becoming a family. So that's been really great.
How do you feel about any of the techniques that they showed in Empowered to Connect? Do you feel as though it's something that's, because you're a teacher, maybe you found some of those techniques something that you already kind of use, but translating it into being a parent might be a little bit different. How do you feel about it?
It is. But in some ways, you're working with kids and you're focusing on the fact that this is all about relationships, and that kids, if they have trust and if they have that relationship with you, they're willing to take risks and they're willing to ask questions and they're willing to be themselves. It's been really helpful as a teacher and a parent, that when you hit bumps in the road, that there's someone that's supporting you and that there's someone that loves you. And that's something that particularly, kids of trauma have a really hard time developing, but it really helps focus why you're saying what you're saying and what you focus on when you're speaking about really difficult things and sometimes just very simple things.
Right. All right. So now let's go backwards a little bit. And now we're going to talk about a little bit of a different topic, obviously. What I wanted to ask is, on your pre-adoptive journey, what kind of issues did you both have as being LGBT community? What didn't you have? What did you have? What bumps did you get that you had to deal with? I know you did, so I want to explain some of the things to the community,
Sure.
what kind of things you went through.
Yeah, in the beginning, we were looking for an agency that was really going to understand us and support us and get us. And we looked for whatever the internet could tell us. That was really the only place we could start our research. And eventually, we started with an agency that they focused on babies and really didn't have a heavy focus on the adoptive or the expectant mother. And they really didn't have anything on their website that was really specific to LGBT. They had a webinar that was particularly focused on that, but it was the same webinar we had taken that wasn't labeled with that. Um, so when we found You Gotta Believe through our support group, it was really amazing to see what lengths they went to say, this is really all about the child. It's about whoever this child ends up being. We want them to be supported by this family that we find for them. So they really emphasize that in the classes. At the home study signing, they make you take a pledge that's saying you're going to affirm you're not only your child, but whoever they become and whoever their friends are, um, and specifically in the LGBT community. So that's really been a really nice support, because it's not just that they checked a box and said that's really what they need. It's been amazing to see how they really open up and talk to us in a very respectful and very understanding way. There's people who are LGBT on the staff, and that's really been life changing, because we felt very welcomed and we felt comfortable asking particular questions that fit our family that might have been different. Um, and also dealing with, how to support a teenager through their understanding of their sexuality. So it's been really, uh, really amazing to see an agency and their impact, and how their understanding of our community can impact how we can develop as a family.
Have they at all guided you or let you know of different places that do advocate for equality? Have they shown you different places that you know of off the top of your head that you can mention
Well,
or
the
something?
classes are at LGBT centers, some of them. The one on Long Island is, and that's been a great resource, because not only through being there have we gotten things like Gay Parent Magazine on Long Island, but then there's also things like youth activities over the summer. There's great activities that our son can be part of, and can understand that he's not the only kid with two dads. He's also not the only kid who's different, and he's different because he's a foster child, and because he's an adoptive child, and, you know, because he's a Black child in a white community, but he can have a really diverse experience through that center. So
Do
that's been really
um,
helpful.
does someone like You Gotta Believe, on a tiny bit different, veer off a tiny bit, but does the agency like You Gotta Believe help with transitioning when you bring home an older child with them, or do they have another organization that works with them that helps? Or
So You Gotta Believe does a great job of being um, your social worker, your case manager, from the point that you start the classes all the way through to adoption and beyond. They'll let you call them at 3 o'clock in the morning if something is happening that you need help with. It's not just like, oh, somebody will call you back. It's somebody you know. And that's really amazing that they're there and they come from a place of understanding. Like, we've been there, nothing's going to shock us. Um, and they really have great supports in terms of strategies and ways to help the whole family, to help you be a parent, because we weren't parents before this, and to help our child understand how to be a child in a family, because this is his first time.
if you could let me know as a support group leader, what would you like to see in the next, say, 5 years, 10 years to do with this support group, or anything in adoption and foster care? What would you like to see start coming down the pike, I guess?
It's really helpful to have our online Facebook group, where people can share news stories. It would be great if our group could take some action, even if it was sending letters or being part of different activist events that really advocate for equality in the world of adoption. So many laws recently are banning LGBT people from becoming adoptive parents, and that's just hurting children. Um, so that's been something that's disheartening, but also when I do share things like that, you get likes and you have support, people comment, and it's something we could definitely take a more active role in.
That's fantastic.
Um, I think we've experienced that also throughout the visiting process of parents, as parents who are LGBT. It's amazing to see how many therapists and social workers and other professionals that have feelings about, whether it's white parents with Black children or whether it's gay parents with a child, and how that's really been hurtful in terms of allowing our son to develop a relationship with us, um, from just allowing time together, from making him earn visits with us, um, understanding who we are, enrolling him in school and having forms that say mother and father instead of just parent. Um, all of those things should be things that change. And I think they can only change when people like our support group really have a voice and show people how that's antiquated and outdated and non-inclusive.
That's why, for everyone to know, the reason why our group got so involved with the coalition, the New York Coalition, AFFCNY, is amazingly good at advocating for what you're talking about right now. They go to Washington, D.C. We're part of them for that reason, for the especially since our group is so diverse. And thank you for sharing that opinion. The last thing I'd like to ask you is, if you could go back to, I don't know, the pre-adoptive journey and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
I tell myself that it's okay, it's going to work, it's going to be better than you think, and to just trust the journey and enjoy every moment of it, because there was moments that were really, full of questions and full of doubt, and that was something that, looking back, I should have just trusted more. So yeah.
I would have gone on a heck of a lot more vacations, that's for sure. I wasted my time. Now I don't sleep. So, but thank you very much for taking the time and letting us know your story. And thank you, Mark, for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.